requirement is waived if you come in with the bullet point complete. So if you come in with both of your histories, you won't need to take an honors history. If you come in with both your governments, you won't need to take an honors government. So that can be waived there. However, if you only come in with half of it, so say you got a 3 on your AP US history exam, that's going to give you credit for one history class. Okay, so you may have credit for history 1377, but not 1378. In that situation, you would still need to take the history 1378 in an honors section. Since you weren't completely done with the requirement, we would still want you to take that other class in an honors section. Okay, hopefully that makes sense for everyone. The other thing we'll do based on your prior credit is we will kind of waive the total hours you need to graduate with honors. I'm going to warn you all ahead of time, this piece can get a little tricky. So feel free to talk to an honors advisor about it later in your career. The total honors hours you have to take is not going to be something that is going to really be a big influence on what you're taking your first semester here at UH. So it's best to talk about an advisor in your first year sometime once all of your credits have come into UH. But to briefly explain, essentially for every 15 hours of credit you bring in from, once again, dual credit, AP, IB, whichever method, we waive one honors class down to a minimum of 28 honors hours. So basically, depending on how much honors credit you have, you may need 28 honors hours to graduate, 30, 33, or 36. And once all of your credits come in, we'll be able to explain that number to you one-on-one in an advising session. Okay, so that is the university honors requirements in a nutshell. So now, as promised, we're going to talk more about human situation. This is that required course that we mentioned on the last page. It is essentially a great books course. You can see on the right side of the screen some of the books that are frequently read in this course. It is required of all university honors students once again, and it actually has been a requirement here in the Honors College for quite some time. The course has been offered for over 40 years at this point. And so not only is it a good class to help with critical thinking, your communication skills, all of those items, it's also something that ties students with alumni. So myself, I was a honors student when I was in college here at the University of Houston. So this is actually a class I took when I was a student as well. And so it's an easy way to have a shared experience with other students who have went through the program. Okay, the class itself is a 10-hour sequence, as I said, and 6 of those hours are in the fall. So you're going to be enrolling in 6 hours of human situation, which is 2 classes, this fall semester. In the spring, it's only 4 hours. It's also 2 classes, and we'll worry about that when we get to the spring semester. But for this fall, 2 classes, 6 hours is what you're enrolling in for Human Sit. The course is, like I said, 2 classes technically that make up Human Situation. One is a lecture. So the lecture is team taught. So there's going to be about 10 different professors in a classroom rotating, giving lectures on whatever text you're reading. There are from a variety of different backgrounds. So we have professors from philosophy, political science, history, etc. Then the other course, discussion, this is going to be a much smaller classroom. It's going to be only about 17 students. You have 1 professor for this class, and that 1 professor is one of the 10 from the team taught portion. So lecture, very large class, team taught, people will be lecturing over the books you're reading. Discussion, much smaller, under 20 students, you have 1 professor, and that's really your chance to talk about the text and also where most of your assignments will come from. One of my colleagues likes to say, you shouldn't let human situation intimidate you. At the end of the day, it's just reading books and talking about them. So don't let it overwhelm you. I will say, however, the enrollment can be overwhelming. So bear with me as I talk through the enrollment for this class. So this form you see here, this is one of our Honors College human situation registration forms. It's basically a guide to help you enroll in human situation your first semester. I did briefly mention before that there are alternate enrollments for human situation, which is what makes this a little complicated. So whenever you're enrolling in human sit, the first thing you do is you go to this registration form and you read through this column on the right-hand side, particularly this if statement. And it basically says, if you, and it says if you scored a certain score on the AP test, if you made a certain score on the IB test, if you took a certain class dual credit. And basically, if you say yes to any of those statements, it tells you to please use Form B. Form B is the next page. So we're going to look at that in a second. If you said no to all of those, you're going to stay on Form A. What the statement is looking at is it's trying to assess if you have credit for English 1302. So English 1302 is one of those required core classes you need to graduate. If you already have credit for this course through AP, IB, dual credit, etc., then you use Form B and you enroll in an alternate enrollment so that you aren't duplicating your credit. If you don't have that credit yet, you want to stay on Form A and enroll in the regular enrollment so that you are getting that credit you need to graduate. So that is really the only difference between these two forms, is going to be the name of the lecture class you're enrolling in. The lecture sections are still the same class though. So it's different classes in title, it's different classes in what you're enrolling in, but at the end of the day, whether you're in the regular or the alternate lecture, you're going to be sitting in the same room with your peers who enrolled in the opposite section to you. Okay, so we find out what form you're using. So we're going to assume right now that you're using Form A. So that means you do not have English 1302 credit. You can see Form A here. And on the left side of this kind of grid we have going on here, you'll see discussion sections. There are many, many, many discussion sections. You can choose whichever discussion section you want to choose. They're all at different times, so you can just fit what best works with your schedule. Once you choose a discussion section from the left side of the page, you're going to choose the corresponding lecture section. So you're just going to kind of move to the right and enroll in whatever lecture is there. You can see that there are 2 lecture section options. So that's why this makes sense, because that's the large classroom where you're getting lectured to in that team taught environment. So the alpha lecture, which is the top half of the page, is 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's when they meet. For Omega, it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 12 to 1. There really is no difference in Alpha and Omega. We get that question a lot. Enroll in whichever one fits your schedule. It doesn't really matter in terms of anything substantive in the class. There are different professors, but overall, it's going to be the same experience, whether you're on Alpha or Omega. Okay, so the other thing mentioned on the right side of the page here is what these courses count for. So we already discussed the lecture section counts for English 1302 credit, which is a core credit you need to graduate. And then the discussion section, this HON 2301, it counts for your core language, philosophy, and culture, which is just another required core credit you need to graduate. So we do require human situation, but it is fulfilling credits you need to graduate from the University of Houston anyways. Okay, moving on to Form B. Form B, like I said, looks basically exactly the same. The only difference on Form B is that the lecture sections go from being English 1370 to English 2360. That's the only change. You're still going to enroll in the same way. You're going to choose a discussion section, and then you're going to go across to the right side of the form and enroll in the corresponding lecture section. For this one, the HON 2301 course discussion, it gives you the same credit for language, philosophy, and culture. And then for the lecture, it's going to give you elective credit since you already have that core English. Okay. We are done with human sit now. So the next thing we're going to be looking at is the orientation checklist. It's very important that you work through and complete the items on this orientation checklist before your honors advising appointment. This was sent to you in an email within the past week or so, depending on when you signed up for Scholars Invitational, but it was linked and we're going to talk through it now. If you have any issues, if you don't feel like you received that email, feel free to reach out to the Honors College front office and we can help you get this form and get the email. I will link their email and phone number at the end of the presentation, so just keep that in mind if you've had any issues. Okay, so the first thing on the checklist is completing your pre-orientation modules. That for those, you log in through your MyUH account and go through some different modules in order to basically complete required sections of your orientation experience. Hopefully you all have done that. If not, it's okay, you still have time. One thing I will warn about this is sometimes there's an acknowledgement at the very end. Once you get through all of the modules, make sure you actually click through the acknowledgement. If not, you basically won't be showing as complete and the hold will remain on your account. So make sure all your modules have check boxes at the end. Next is the live orientation session. That's what you're doing right now. So y'all all are good there. The next thing we have on the list is scheduling your honors orientation advising session. So for the honors orientation advising session, you are going to be able to schedule that through Navigate. The email I sent with the checklist did also have a link to schedule an advising appointment. You can also schedule by logging into Access UH and clicking on the Navigate app. But if you have any issues, please feel free to call our front office and they can help you schedule one over the phone. So it might be a lot smoother if you're having any difficulties to just call in. We're open 8 to 7 Monday through Thursday and 8 to 5 on Friday. But you do need to come to an honors advising appointment. That's when we're actually going to kind of be able to talk to you in person, where you're actually able to speak back to us and get you enrolled in classes. Okay. Next thing on the list is completing the Honors College registration survey. You'll be able to just click this link and it'll take you to a form and essentially just ask you what credits you are working on, basically through dual credit, AP, etc. So you'll be able to put if a class is in progress. So if you are taking the AP test, but you don't have your score back yet, that's fine. Or if you've already taken a test, you can put in the score. This will be very important later in informing the advising process. And so I'll bring this up again to kind of show you where this information is going to populate. Okay. Next, we have the math placement exam. So we recommend that everyone takes the math placement exam. I know y'all probably don't all want to take the math placement exam, but I'm going to explain why it's a good idea on this next slide. So first of all, what is the math placement exam? It's essentially a test to let us know basically where you are with your math skills and what class you should be enrolling in. We don't want you to enroll in a class that's above the difficulty level you're ready for, because that's just going to make you unsuccessful. And obviously we want you to be successful here at the University of Houston. So there are two different math placement tests students can take. The first one is Math 2312. So the Math 2312 test is pre-calculus. You get 2 online attempts and you have to receive a minimum score of 65 to pass that math placement exam. If you pass this test, it'll place you into Business Cal or pre-calculus. The other test is Math 2413 test, which is calculus. You still do receive 2 attempts, but the minimum score to pass is a little higher. It's an 80. This is also the test you would take to place into accelerated calculus. If any of you have looked at your flowcharts already, You may have seen accelerated calculus on your flow chart. If you don't know what a flow chart is, we are going to talk about that in a second as well. But accelerated calculus is essentially Cal 1, 2, and 3 in 2 semesters. So it's a sped up version of the calculus sequence. To get into that class, you have to have an 85 on the calculus exam. Okay, so the calculus exam, that one is meant for students who are STEM students. So basically a lot of students in the College of Natural Science and Mathematics, any engineering students, and typically a lot of majors in the College of Technology, though not all of them. The pre-cal test is more designed for students in other majors. So humanities, so class, HRM, those kinds of things. So coming back to why should you take the math placement exam? One, if you don't have any prior math credit, you obviously need to take it to get into the math class you need. So if you're an engineer and you don't have any prior credit, it's absolutely vital you take the calculus test to enroll into your classes. However, I know many of you are probably saying, but I do have credit, or I will have credit at the end of this summer if I pass this Cal BC test. So that may be true, but the thing is that there are many, many students coming into the University of Houston, and all of your scores have to be processed. If your scores are not processed from your AP test or dual credit before you come to your advising session, you will not be able to enroll in your math classes. You also won't be able to enroll in a number of other classes. So for instance, like chemistry, you have to have a certain math placement score or level of math. Physics is another one. So it's very important to take the test, because even if you have credit coming in, if those credits aren't here at UH, it's going to be very hard for you to enroll. For those of you who are taking a lower level math, like college algebra, there's not a math test for college algebra, so you should be able to enroll fine into math for that reason. But a lot of other classes, like I said, do require a certain level of math, such as like geology or economics even. So it's always suggested to take the math placement exam just to make sure that you have everything in order and we don't hit any snags enrolling you. It shouldn't take too much of your time, so just take it, okay? Alrighty. Next, we have the next bullet point, which is please read over the honors orientation page and review your flowchart to get more information on how to roll in courses. It is recommended that students already have courses loaded into their shopping carts prior to attending the orientation advising session. So first thing we'll talk about, the bolded section. What do we mean when we say load your shopping cart? So this picture you see here is what a loaded shopping cart looks like. Essentially, your shopping cart is where you're adding classes that you want to take in the fall semester. So you would just use your schedule planner like they showed you this morning, pick out the classes you want to take and import them into your shopping cart here. If all of your classes are already in your shopping cart that you think you need to take, the advising process will go by very quickly. We know many of you have other obligations. It's going to be summertime soon. So there's many things other things you have going on essentially. And so the quicker we can get you out of orientation, the better. This shopping cart doesn't have to be perfect. We don't expect you to get all the classes right. That's why you're going to have advising. But even if we just need to change 1 or 2 classes, it'll go much quicker simply with you knowing how to use the tool. So try to preload your shopping cart before your orientation advising session. We do give you all the resources to do this so that you'll kind of have an idea of what to enroll in. And the first one is the flow chart, which was linked in your checklist. This is an example of a biology flow chart. As stated in your pre-orientation modules for the Honors College, Each box on a flow chart represents a class, and each row represents a semester. So essentially, what you're going to be doing is enrolling in the classes on that first row of your flow chart. Those are the ones you're going to plan to enroll in. You can see Human Sit is going to be kind of the first classes on the left on every flow chart, and then the rest are whatever is required for your major. Obviously, these will look different depending on what major you are. If you have credit for something already, so let's say you already have your biology credit, for instance, you can always try to just go to the next class in the list. You just have to watch out for prereqs. Typically, if you're going to try to move something up, I typically recommend core classes, so like your history, your polls, your social science, because those don't have prereqs in most situations. Some of the core classes are specifically stated with class numbers. Other ones look like this core social behavioral science and core creative arts that are circled here. There's a list of classes that count for core courses like these, and we provide that with you on our website, which we're going to get to in a moment. In terms of prereqs for classes, though, you can see prereqs based on the lines on the flow chart, and the second page of your flow chart is a list of classes, is if you like the written out visual better. Okay, so this is the flow chart. Enroll in the first semester. If you have prior credit, you can try to move something else up. I will, since we're on the biology flow chart, say if you are pre-health, we typically don't recommend taking test credit, so AP or IB credit, for classes that are STEM courses, essentially. So for your biology and chemistry classes, if you're planning on going to like medical school, PA school, optometry school, we recommend basically retaking those classes at UH. The reason being, a lot of schools either don't like test credit for prereqs, or in some cases just won't accept them at all. So retaking it is typically your best option if those kinds of pre-professional schools is what your end goal is. And if you know the content really well, like you hopefully think you do if you passed a test, like the AP test, then really these classes should be an easy A. And I will let you know, if you're a pre-med student, that easy A will come in handy down the line if you do know the content really well. So that is the flow chart. The last resource we give you in order to help you load your shopping cart is going to be our enrollment webpage. This was the other link on the this specific bullet point on the checklist. As you can see from the left side of the page, it has a number of different kind of content areas to help you with enrolling. It tells you how to use the shopping cart. It tells you about human situation registration in case you forget what we went over today. It gives you the list of core classes and many, many other things. So this website will be really, really useful to you as you're looking at your flow chart and adding classes to your shopping cart. However, if you do have questions, we are always here to support you. So if you're working on loading your shopping cart and you get caught up, you can't figure out what you need to do in a particular situation, feel free to call our front office. All of my student workers have been trained to help you with advising for first year schedules. So they should be able to help you out and answer any questions you have prior to your advising session. So give them a call if you have any issues. Okay. Next thing on the orientation checklist is pay your orientation fee. Hopefully you have all done that. Next, we have the bacterial meningitis compliance form. You do have to have your BACMen forms uploaded before you enroll. BACMen is its own special hold. So if you don't have your BACMen compliance form uploaded, you won't be able to enroll in courses. So this is very important that you have this done before your advising session. And then lastly, if you intend to change your major, please do that like today so that it can be changed before your advising session, hopefully. Once you enroll in classes, we can't change your major. So please, 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 if you are planning on changing your major this semester, hopefully you've already done so, but if not, do it like right now. Okay, so that is all of the things you need to have done before orientation. We're almost done here, guys. So I'm sure your next question is, what does this advising session look like? What are we doing in this advising session? So essentially the day before your orientation advising session, whatever date you sign up for, we are going to send you an email. And that email will have a link to Microsoft Teams. There will be instructions on how to download Microsoft Teams, as well as a link for you to join the team. You can see pictured here, this is like a sample team that we created. We will have a very brief, just like 5 to 10 minute meeting whenever we start your orientation. That'll be at 1:30. That meeting for most of you, I think if you're a Bauer student, theirs is at 12, but for everyone else, it'll be 1:30. But basically you will be able to click the meeting in the email I sent you, or if you join the team, you'll be able to see the meeting here in the team itself. So you can see this Honors College summer orientation procedures created here. You could just click on that and join. So you need to be there at 1:30 to basically hear our little session about how to work your way through teams. And then once you do that, we'll get into the advising and then get you enrolled and checked out. I do recommend joining the team prior to your advising time. So like I said, we'll send the link to do so the day before your orientation. So go ahead, once you get the email or the day, sometime that night, just try to join the team, because if you are experiencing any issues, we would like to help you with that before the advising session, just so you don't miss anything. Okay. And the last thing that you are going to get in that email the day before your orientation advising is going to be this Honors College registration form. It will be linked in that email. And this is going to be really important for your enrollment and checkout at the advising session. So it has information like your prior test credits. So that survey I said at the beginning, we wanted you to fill out on the checklist. This is actually where that information comes in. And it's a way for advisors to know, what do you have in progress? What credits have you taken, but they aren't here at UH yet. So this is the best way for us to know kind of a full picture of what you have going on in terms of your credits. And also has your math placement score so that we know where to put you in terms of your math class as well. This form will be required for you to check out, so you will have to upload it to the Teams, which we'll show you how to do at the beginning presentation for your advising session. But just know this form is a fillable PDF. So if you have Adobe on your computer, you should be able to edit it, no problem. Last year, we did have some issues with students opening it and editing it in their web browser, which works totally fine. You can absolutely do that. But when you save, it typically saves blank. So if you're editing in the web browser, I recommend screenshotting the document so that you don't lose what you wrote in, because like I said, in the web browser, the form typically saves blank. You can also go old school and print this out and physically, like handwriting, fill it out. That's totally fine. Just make sure you either have a scanner or a phone where you can take a picture and upload this when it's time for you to check out. Because like I said, we will require you to upload it. So you just need to make sure you have a process planned for this registration form ahead of time. Okay, so that is the registration form. And that is really all I have for y'all today. Hopefully y'all know now what you need to do before your orientation advising session, know how you're going to be informed through that email about your orientation advising session, and have a little bit more of your bearings now that we went through this presentation. At this point, I'm going to ask my colleague, Aaron Reynolds, to join me, and he is going to read through some of y'all's commonly asked questions that popped up in the chat, just so that we can answer them out loud for everyone.
Hello, Megan. Thanks. I'll give you a break for a moment to catch your breath and everything with all the information you gave us. And yeah, I'll read out some questions and get some answers, but yeah, please help me out with this too, Megan.
Yes.
Larry as well. One thing I'll just emphasize from the beginning from seeing at the chat, a lot of you are asking very specific, major specific questions or very particular questions about the credit you're bringing in. We will go over that with you at the advising session for enrollment when you sign up for that. It will start off as a group, and then we will meet with you individually as well on individual Teams calls. So all of those questions will be answered during that session. So we will be able to answer those, and with the credits that are coming in and figuring out what the best pathway is for you, what will be required for you in honors, what will not be required for you in honors. We will take care of that then. Along with that, another major question that came up was, what if I am still completing some of my transfer credits? Some of my AP exams are still coming up, or I've sent a transcript, it hasn't shown up yet. What do I do? With that, this is where, again, like let's just say with math, that's why the math placement exam is important. If you don't take the math placement exam and your calc credit hasn't come in also, then we won't be able to sign you up for the math class that you need to be in. And so that's what the math placement exam exists for, is so that if your credit hasn't come in, you can still show you deserve to be in that class and that you're ready for that class. And then hopefully that credit will come in the coming months. It might not be till June or July, but you'll already be enrolled in the class you need to be into. So it's very important to take, if you are in a STEM field, especially to take the math placement exam, so that you don't have to worry about not getting into the class you need to. That math placement exam will get you a spot in that class. But then also, yeah, with other credits that are coming in, we will have you indicate on your registration form what other credits you are bringing in, say your government classes or your history. And again, we will talk to you individually about whether you need to, those are counting and those work for you, or whether you still need to do an honors version of one of those kinds of things we'll talk to you individually about. So that will happen at the enrollment sessions. In terms of other questions, let's see here. One that came up a lot, but I'll just say again, Megan mentioned it already, but the BACMen requirement, the bacterial meningitis hold, you do need to have that removed before you can enroll. If you do come to an advising session, we can still go over your classes with you and everything, and still discuss your questions. But if that hold is still there, you won't be able to enroll. So the best thing to do is to do your best to get that enrolled before the enrollment session, because while we can talk about your potential schedule, classes will change and classes will fill up in the coming weeks. So it's best if we can get you enrolled that day. Let's see. Megan, would you maybe want to walk them through again kind of how to sign up for Navigate, what steps to take for that?
Yeah, so basically I sent an email and there was a link. If you click the link, it should directly take you to the advising session you need to sign up for. There are numerous dates, so you can choose whatever date fits best for your schedule, but it'll take you to the right service, which is our orientation service. You can also sign up kind of manually if you go to the Navigate app that Melissa Pearson was talking about this morning. There should be a make an appointment option there, and you can go to the Honors College and choose either honors orientation, engineering orientation, or Bauer orientation, depending on what major you are, and then sign up that way. Additionally, I think one of the easiest ways is to call the Honors College at 713-743-9010, and they can always help you set up an appointment for your preferred date over the phone as well. So those are kind of the three methods for signing up through the link. You can do it through the Navigate app itself, or you can call the Honors College and we can help you sign up.
Okay, great. And then I was going to mention, sorry, I'm clicking around here a little bit to my many different windows here. Let's see here. Give me just a second. I know another question, a number of the questions that were coming up about where can I find the flow charts? Where can I, sorry, give me just a second here.
It looks like Larry has his hand raised. So while you're
Okay.
pulling that up, let's
Go ahead.
let Larry talk. Larry's one of our other honors advisors. There are three of us, myself, Aaron, and Larry. Go ahead.
Hello. I realize that going from high school to college can be a kind of trying time, and many of you are anxious. The speed at which the chat was scrolling suggests to me almost everybody is anxious. This first enrollment, the good news is you can almost make no mistake. Another thing to keep in mind is to keep it simple. By that I mean you're going to enroll in HumeSit. That is going to be 2 courses. You're going to enroll in a math, almost invariably. And you're going to enroll in at least 1 major course. If you're in sciences, you'll take a couple of like chem, bio, something like that. And then you'll pick a core course. This isn't rocket science. It's going to be very simple. And all your questions will be answered in person when you come to your team's meeting for your honors orientation. So this will be fine. That's why we're here, to make sure that this goes smoothly.
Great, yes, thanks, Larry. Calming words from our senior most advisor. With that, yes, with the number of the questions about where to find advising documents and say the honors flow charts or how to get to the math placement exam. And a lot of those questions I'm going to paste in the chat again right now. This is also on your honors checklist when you receive that. There'll be a link to this, but there is an enrollment FAQ that if you just follow that step by step, it basically recaps many of the things that Megan here went over with you and gives you direct links to those pages that you need as far as, yes, math placement, your honors flow charts, how your AP credit will work, all of those things will be in there so that you will be able to, if you go through this step by step, be able to put classes into your shopping cart and have those ready for us to look at the enrollment session. Ideally, what happens is you show up, and if you've been following all those steps, then we can say your schedule looks great. See you in the summer. See you in the fall. Sorry, summer's still coming up. But if you have anything that we need to adjust, we can make those adjustments there and help you out through that as well. So yeah, as those questions come up, feel free to kind of note those, and we'll be working with you one-on-one at those enrollment advising sessions for those questions for sure. Let's see here, some other questions that came up, just a moment here. Let's see here, did the math placement. Yes, the question of will CLEP tests and exams be accepted? Yes, they will, along with AP credit and dual credit, all of those will be accepted. And again, we will talk to you individually about what those credits are when you come in. And what we always try to stress, and we'll stress here again for you guys and emphasize, is that we are not here to make you retake credits that you already brought in for honors credits. What we want you to do is take honors versions of the classes you have left in your degree based on those credits you bring in. And so again, as Dr. Like mentioned, what you do is you'll come in and we'll make sure you take human situation, which will count towards core and elective requirements you will be needing anyways. One of your maths, some classes in your major, and then if needed, depending on your major, there will be possibly some core classes that we can fit into your schedule as well. And then we'll have you set for the fall. Let's see here. Taking the appointments and navigate, we did that. And let's see here, helping out individually. The flow charts you can find again that they are linked on, I believe are they on the checklist too, Megan?
Yes, they're on the checklist, and I also sent the link in the chat.
Okay, great.
So those are both there. It's also been mentioned in the chat a few times about feeling like you haven't received the email. I'm resending them actively right now to every student who hasn't scheduled an appointment, which probably means you haven't seen the email. Be sure you're monitoring whatever your destination email is for your UH account, because that's where they're going to go. And so keep an eye out for those.
Okay, great. Yes, and we had some questions also about how these enrollment advising sessions will work. And again, the way that works is that you will join us on Microsoft Teams at a scheduled meeting where you'll be getting an email for that link to be able to access that and everything at the scheduled day and time. And we will start with a quick overview, have everybody gathered in general at that meeting. I think we're aiming for around a few dozen students each time. And we will, give you kind of a quick overview again and make sure if there are any general questions, but then we will break out into individual sessions depending on your major and your college. And so we will have breakout sessions for those. And again, we on the advising staff will be helping you, student advisors will be helping you at some sessions too. And we'll all be available to, again, make sure your schedule looks correct before you check out and that you leave with the schedule for the fall all ready to go. So that's how that'll work on Microsoft Teams. I think we've covered all the frequently asked questions, but does anybody else have on the team here things they want to address or that we think we need to address?
I don't think there's anything else we need to address. I just want to kind of share again, if you're having issues with anything, please call the Honors College number linked below. They can help you schedule appointments. If you are really stuck on adding things to your shopping cart, which we encourage you to do, call them and they can help you out with all of those things. So make sure to do that ahead of time. Like I said, I did just resend emails to those of you who haven't scheduled appointments. And it looks like a number of you have been scheduling throughout this advising session. So that is good to see. But if you have any issues, you can call our Honors College number here. We're open till 5 p.m. today. And the earlier you schedule, the better. Like I said, you need the checklist done before you attend your advising session, but you don't need to wait till you're done with the checklist to schedule your advising session. So the earliest session is next Thursday. So if you are confident you can have everything done by then go ahead and schedule your appointment now and just make sure you have everything done by that point of your session.
Yes, and it might be good to point out also that you'll get the link to the Teams meeting the day of the meeting. Is that correct? The morning?
The day before.
The day before, yes, the day before. So you will get that, yes, the day before, and then you'll be ready to go from there with that. I might also, and I don't have the answers, but Megan, I'm pretty sure you do. When students need permission forms about attending this session today, where would they go for that?
I think that the orientation team typically sends those out, so hopefully Joey can help us there. But I believe that those are sent out by the orientation team.
Okay, great.
Yeah, hi everyone. We'll send an email to those that attended. We have I believe everything that we need. We will be able to send those to y'all, or if you need something earlier and we haven't sent it to you yet, you can email us at orientation@uh.edu and we'll be able to send you one that way as well.
And Joey, also, could you maybe talk again briefly about what students should do about Backman holds, like where to send the immunization reports?
Yeah, sure. So your bacterial meningitis, there are a few ways. If you have I believe you can upload that to your account there. That's through the office of the registrar. So not necessarily not necessarily the office that I work in, but the office of the registrar handles your bacterial meningitis information. They do have a website. I'll post it here in the chat where it has instructions on how they can either upload their bacterial meningitis information or make sure that hold is off prior to enrollment. But yes, that is definitely something that does need to happen if that hold is on the account, and there are ways on their website in which to take care of that hold.
Okay, great.
Okay, if there are no more questions, I think that we are done for the day. So we can let you all go. The chat will close down as well as this video. Like I said, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. And I hope you all have a great day and have enjoyed your orientation so far. We will see you all again very soon.